Hello, boys and girls. AEW Freak 1127 here. New World. New World. I have put 100 some odd hours into New World. I think 100. I can't remember what it was last time I looked at Steam, but I figured that's as good of a point as any to give my thoughts on New World. And they are as follows. If you don't feel like watching however long this video is going to end up being, then I can just state it clearly, unequivocally. New World is the worst RPG that I have ever paid money for in my entire life. In 31 years, I have never played a worse RPG. It's not the worst game I've ever played. It's on the list, but it's up there, and to have spent 100 hours playing it to come to this conclusion, it kind of hurts me, somewhere right here. It's kind of like a diarrhea pain. But I don't live in regret. I did it because I wanted to see if the hype was real. I did not have any hype for it. Knowing that it was an Amazon game, that it was something coming from the brain of Jeff Bezos, knowing that most MMORPGs to come out after WoW have crashed and burned and ended up in the shithouse, I had actually very, very low expectations, and this game didn't even meet those. Where do you even begin? The backbone to me of a good RPG game is good quests. Quests that have good stories, good narratives, not convoluted or full of plot holes, not boring, compelling, engaging stuff. I like that kind of stuff. At the same time, I also played RuneScape for many, many, many years, where point and click. I know it's a bit more complex than that in places, but when you're trying to 99 something, what is it but point and click? Point and click. And I have a very, very, very high tolerance for grinding. The quests and the grinding, the skill grinding in this game point out to me that this is another one of those games. And what I mean by another one of those games is this string of bug-filled, unfinished, incomplete, shitty games being released by developers and then being patched later on because they've got so many people adding free hype to the hype train before it comes out, and they've got so many people who have already paid. They've pre-ordered the game, so they can release unfinished, bug-filled piles of shit over and over and over again and have the loyalty to not give a fuck. Because, yeah, more often than not, they do fix the issues in the end, eventually. Or in the case of Bethesda, they act like they're doing the gamer a favor by letting you mod their game when really you're just doing their job for them. But New World is indeed another example of this coming out of gaming. This issue where we all complain, we all froth at the mouth when we get an unfinished, bug-filled piece of shit like Cyberpunk, like No Man's Sky. They turned it around. But still, at first, oh my fucking god, are you kidding me? Like the GTA trilogy that supposedly like improved somehow. It's a bug-filled nightmare even on PS5 and on console. I've been playing it. Good lord. It just seems like that's the norm. And I think one way that us gamers could put more pressure on video game developers to stop making piles of unfinished shit on day one is to stop pre-ordering their games. I know it's not as simple as that. The issue runs deeper. But that's one thing that we could do. Just throwing that out there. But to pay 40 euros or any amount of money for a game like New World, which just seems like an endless beta to me. and endless, open, or closed. Either way, it just feels unfinished through and through. The combat feels unfinished and just like sort of an afterthought. The quests are boring, meaningless, fetch quests, kill quests. Sometimes they're fetch and kill quests, but they're boring, they're meaningless. The only meaning that they are given is the XP reward at the end. And occasionally you might get a piece of gear that's pretty good. But if you want the really good gear, you can go and do an expedition. Expedition, that sounds fun, right? You get 5 or 6 people together, you go into a dungeon and you kill a bunch of stuff. That's pretty much it. And oh, by the way, you have to hope that you can get enough people together and not have to wait a half an hour to an hour just to get one of these expeditions going, so you can go in there and get the loot that you're not going to be able to sell because the people who do quality control on this game don't know what the hell they're doing because trade is disabled. As of this recording, once again, trade is disabled because of a duplication glitch of some sort. And even worse, when they had to do it the first time, people on Reddit, the New World Reddit, were trying to make the developers aware of this problem, saying, hey, you've got people over here duplicating and glitching, and they were just banning them left and right. Seriously, go look it up in Reddit. People were being banned literally for telling these shitty developers about the problems happening in their shitty game. It's, again, it's emblematic of the times. These are the times. These are the shitty video games that, it's not always a miss. But when they do miss, they don't have to pay nearly enough of a price. And I think that price should be that we no longer pre-order these games and give them the incentive, give them that front to not give a fuck. Because that's all it really is. A pre-order is a front for a video game developer to not give a fuck. And that sucks and it needs to change. But that's just my Sermon on the Mount about that. Maybe I should talk more about New World. That's the thing. New World is such a big open, and you've got these. It's you have to like fight to keep your faction so you can get the rewards. That's how they're trying to develop the PvP side of it. You have 3 factions. You pick a side, and you have these big 50-person events where you just punch and kick and beat and magic the shit out of each other. And then you get control of a territory, and then that territory control gives you fewer taxes to pay and some other perks that in the end really don't matter because this game is a huge pile of shit that everybody's going to forget about. That's my prediction. In about a year. In a year, if they are still trying to make content for this game and it's still going strong, I will eat this very hat. I will eat this very hat because what I'm seeing right now is customer support that doesn't give a shit, quality control that doesn't give a shit, a developer that doesn't give a shit, and a community that gives way too much of a shit, that allowed themselves to get eaten up by the hype. And now they're stuck sitting there convinced that what they're playing is a video game worthy of their time, but what you really have is a game that was released with very, very little thought for the consumer, with very little thought for the person who is actually going to be paying the money and playing the game. The fast travel system, are you fucking kidding me? That is the best system that they could have come up with at Amazon Games. This Azoth shit, having your fast travel points so far away from one another to the point where you're having to run for 15 minutes just so you can activate the fast travel point, just to find out that you don't have enough special Azoth stuff to get you to the fast travel point. So you have to run another 15 minutes. And you know what? Running around a big-ass map, I've heard some fanboys say, well, you know what? It's called New World. You're supposed to go around and explore it. Explore what? There's nothing to explore in this fucking game. If you have a quest that takes you 1.5 kilometers out this way, and that 1.5 kilometers, you're just gonna be followed by mobs of enemies. That's it. There are no interesting side diversions or distractions. There are no. You can gather some stuff. You can do some gathering while you're out on your long ass, seemingly interminable run to your next destination. But in terms of meaningful things to do along the way, it just you just press auto run and you just kind of and then move the mouse when you hit a rock, and then that's what I was doing for most of this fucking game. And I haven't even started to talk about how trash and toxic the community is, but that's kind of any online community. There's a lot of toxic sludge and sleaze and grime with a smattering of good people who are really trying to make an effort. But there's so very little moderation of the game. I myself, I did get a 24-hour ban because there was some neo-Nazi in there and I called him some mean names, but that's neither here nor there because I'm not going to play the game anymore. Or they can ban me to the Mars forever from playing this game ever again, and they'd be doing me a favor because I have this bad habit of getting reinterested in games that I really should, like RuneScape. Like RuneScape, it's one of those games that I keep getting sucked back into when I really shouldn't. But at least with RuneScape, there's like an end goal, to get to level 99 and all of these skills, and then you get the cape and you get the satisfaction, and they're always adding new quests, and it's a very big, what you're gonna get with RuneScape. You're not gonna get a whole lot of complexities. You got a mouse and you got a pointer finger, you click, 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 and wash, rinse, repeat. New World, it seems like to me, there are a lot of things that you thought you were going to get with this MMO. And some people even thought that this was going to be the WoW killer. Right? That this was going to be the MMO that's going to wipe WoW off the face of the map. Everyone's going to forget about WoW and they're going to go and play New World. No. And you know what? The truth is, I've only begun to scratch the surface of all the things that annoy me and piss me off about this game. But all you really need to know is it's a very unfinished, unpolished, uninspired game. It's really big. It's a really big world, but there ain't a whole hell of a lot to do in it. You end up feeling really small and alone because some of these servers, you only get one world transfer, and if your world just peters out and dies, have fun making a new character. Have fun starting over from scratch. And I haven't even talked about the world issues and the queuing and all that stuff. You know what? Anybody who queued for longer than 10 minutes for this game at launch, what the fuck were you thinking? I hope that's what you're thinking now. Because if you're not, you're likely still playing this game and you're wasting your life. You are wasting your life. It's your life. Do what you want at the end of the day. But wow. Why were they allowed to charge money for this game? This game is still in open beta. What it is paid beta now. You are paying for the privilege to try a game that has not been finished and likely never will be finished to completion. Oh, Jesus Christ. The trading post. You can't trade again because of the glitches, but when you could trade, it wasn't all that pleasant of an experience. The menus were really... You couldn't sort things by intelligence, like what stats they raise for your combat. You could sort by other things, but that's one of the most important things that I would be looking for as a wannabe min-maxer. I'm looking for the things that will maximize this stat and have... You couldn't even sort. They didn't have a system to sort things out by that in this trading post, auction house, whatever the fuck it was called. It was always such a brutal, long, drawn out experience just trying to find an item. Like once I leveled up, it's like, oh, now I get to go to the auction house and try to find a way to get more powerful, to get rid of these mobs that just mob you. And I know they're called mobs, that's the point. But like I said, when you're running from A to B, sometimes it's the only thing you can do in this game is just kill mobs. Not a good game, not a good effort from Amazon, but to be expected because this is the way of video games from now on, folks. There will be some very good developers out there, usually smaller indie developers, who will continue to put out games that aren't rife with bugs and glitches and issues and boredom and suffering and pain and misery that were just made to get your dime. All of the indie games that I've played on Steam combined, put together do not have the amount of bugs and glitches and bullshit that I have encountered in New World and that I've encountered in the remastered trilogy, the GTA 3 through San Andreas and Far Cry 6. You know, all these games coming out with all of these issues, and you know, all the indie games combined that I can think of on the top of my head right now, put together combined, not even close to the amount of it's very sad. But hopefully, I am sparing you from a whole lot of pain because there's a lot of pain involved in New Worlds. But it's I suffered through 100 hours of it just so I could come and tell you. So, but you know, anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Have a good day, folks.